Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dr. Nasir Sheikh Show. I'm your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir, and if we got some great stuff on tap for you today, folks. We're continuing the vice debates of American Asians or Asian Americans, and it's the politics now, folks. Do Asian Americans, do they vote Republican? Do they vote Democrat? Are they liberal? Are they conservative? Are they independent? Where on the political spectrum do they fall? We're going to answer all those questions. It's part 5 of the debates. And before we do so, we just want to let you know we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. And we need your comments. We'd love for you to share your comments, share your feelings, let us know what you think. Let's get on with the political debate with Asian Americans, and let's continue that right now.
Hear from the women in the panel about the specifics that we're talking about, because not only is she the first Black and Asian American vice president, she's also the first woman. Your choice.
I disagree with Kamala's politics, I'll say it, but at the same time, she's representative of a woman, and I think we should give her some award for that. Like,
credit?
I like credit, yes, that's the word I was looking for. This is my point exactly with plain identity politics. Like, who cares if she's Black? Who cares if she's a woman? Like, if she got there on her own merit, that's what's important.
You like?
I haven't really thought too much about her being a token so much. I think I'm more interested in, well, what will you do now that you're in office? Will things still change? Or is it
what would that
optics?
look like?
Yeah, and it's great because obviously you do want the optics. You do hope, and you put a lot of that pressure on that person who you feel might represent you. If I wanted to talk really about representation, I'd be like, put somebody poor up there. I don't want anybody rich running the government. Sorry, like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, what's...
Idiot statement, I'm sorry to say. So, right, let's just put some stupid person in there to run the government. And the reason that she's saying put somebody stupid up there or somebody not smart is because that's the reason why they're there, why they're stupid or they're not smart. There's a reason for that, right? So this young lady thinks that I don't want anybody smart up there. I don't want anybody rich up there. Make them stupid and poor because they'll really lead the country. That's a person right here. This is who we need to be giving us advice on who we should be voting for politically. Unbelievable, folks. These guys continually amaze me with the verbal diarrhea that emanates from these people. They don't have a freaking clue as to what the hell is going on. They really don't. And unfortunately, these guys vote. I hope they don't. But unfortunately, maybe some of them do, like her.
the pulse on your country, on your actual citizens. So that's what I'm interested in.
Let's talk about higher education and affirmative action. So I think a lot of our conversation, the rubber hits the road on this topic. And because plaintiffs challenging affirmative action rules, there are Asian Americans who are banding together to do that.
I think affirmative action is a scam. It's an excuse to make race-based hiring decisions. And I think that that's wrong. And I think that everything should be based on merit.
The students that are picked by affirmative action are top tier students.
Yeah.
They're not like some D+ students that are getting picked just based on race. They already are performing at a very top level.
That is absolutely, absolutely a million times false. That is not true. The affirmative action students that are being picked to go to some of these Ivy elite schools are not performing at the same level. That's why they have affirmative action picks. The ones that are making it on their own, they're making it on their own. But the problem is that once you take a look at it and you go, there's a minority here. There's a Black American. There's a Asian. We'll forget Asian because they're the ones that are being discriminated against by Ivy League schools because on their SAT scores, guess what? Their SAT scores are being dropped by 150, 200, 250 points to make the other people candidates, especially Black and Hispanic and other minorities, more competitive. And then they're basing it on different things in terms of, well, what did the personality assessment test on that Asian person show? That Asian student? Oh, you know what? We don't think that he fit the personality profile, so we're going to rank him lower. That's what's happening. And for her to basically say that those affirmative actions, That's not that's absolutely false. They are being picked because they did score lower, but because they go ahead and lower the bar a little bit, they lower the bar to make them acceptable. Now they get basically accepted into those prestigious Ivy League and other, universities, not because of how they performed, but because things were changed. The rules were changed in the middle of the game.
And proven themselves to be picked.
Despite systemic barriers.
I think to a reasonable extent, you could say, okay, if someone grew up in like total poverty and they didn't have the same opportunities, then you can lower the standard a little bit. What I would still say is I think there has to be some proof still of capability. Right now, there's a left-wing movement to remove SAT and standardized testing. So in my opinion, sure, the SAT may not be a perfect test. I think it's decent. That is what actually levels the playing field, is saying we have to take the same test. It doesn't matter what your teacher, how hard they grade, you pay them off, private school education, that's the environment where it's like totally even.
Sure, it's one way to measure intelligence, but that's also assuming that intelligence can only be assessed in one way. How do you compare someone who is just as smart, or, maybe even if they didn't get the SAT score, as like their classmate who literally paid a tutor for 4
Every
years.
single day, yep.
Versus this person, they took the test twice in their life and then they put a bunch of their savings into paying for the test.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to compare these people and say that one is more deserving?
So I think to level the playing field, we need to improve our local schools. Not every school is the same. If you're in a poor community, you don't have the best teachers. So we want to hold all the teachers accountable for giving top grade education so everybody's leveled. And then it wouldn't matter which race or socioeconomic position that you're taking. I don't agree with getting rid of affirmative action altogether. I think it needs reform.
What about legacy kids? I think that it's great to take into account, the systems in power that have intentionally made sure that certain people, and specifically Black and brown people, cannot have access to education. I think that's a great way to try to level that playing field at the least. If a kid
we
can
don't
get
see
in,
a fuss being made about legacy kids ever. When do you ever hear about that?
exactly.
Legacy kids can be from anywhere again. These fools don't know what they're talking about. Legacy doesn't mean white, brown, black, green, blue, purple, yellow, whatever. If you're a legacy, you're a legacy from whatever ethnic background, whatever racial background, color background, religious background. It doesn't matter. That's why nobody talks about legacy kids. Now, yes, can you say that the predominant legacy children are of Caucasian or white heritage? Absolutely, because obviously that's what this country initially was founded upon. So yes, and there's predominantly more Caucasians, more whites that are here. But for example, if they're saying that you've got 20 to 25% of the Asian students that are in the upper echelons of university and colleges, the Ivy League, the elite schools, well, guess what? That's 25% legacy children that are going to be able to go to those schools if they qualify to go there in any semblance or any form of the admission standards process or whatever. That's going to be there. What about all the Black students, the Black students that have gone to these universities? Their kids are legacy kids. The Hispanic kids, anybody that goes there, again, these kids, they just bring this stuff up and go, what about legacy kids? As if only white legacy kids are being accepted and nobody else.
It's that people get a lot more up in arms, I would say, when it's oh, well, so you just got in.
You can iron
your race.
What do you think the future of Asian Americans in America and American politics is?
The paradigm we are going through now.
So I'm going to end it here basically and just say that once again, the true colors of this focus group, comes out, and you see those that are on the conservative side, the more, let's say, Republican side. They basically say, hey, look, we need things to be full on merit. That's the way it should be. And that affirmative action is definitely not something on merit and to do away with, except Joyce, I believe, the girl on the end, said maybe there should be some reform. I don't think there should be any reform. I think affirmative action is unconstitutional, and it absolutely should be, just completely disbanded and, and thrown away. All right. I think it causes so much problems. It causes so much. There's a lot of questioning then, just like some of the kids were saying there, that how do you know if that person actually got there on merit? If there are different quota systems for different ethnicities and different admission standards, you're never going to know the truth. You're always going to be thinking in the back of your mind, or other people are going to be thinking in the back of their mind, and that's only natural to for that to happen. So, in that regard. And then you saw again where victim mentality from those more liberal, from those on the woke side, the social justice warrior side. Again, this victim mentality that, we need this extra help. SAT scores, it's not really all. There could be some other thing that, there could be another test, some other factors that show intelligence. Well, that may be true, but this is what the standard is right now to get into schools. And so many times you hear that when a lot of the minority students or these affirmative action student, that are granted admission into these prestigious universities or upper, educational universities or colleges, they end up failing because they can't do the work, because originally they were given, like a push to move up the ladder a little bit. But that push was basically, it was fraud. It was fake. They put them in a situation where they couldn't, they can't compete. It was an uneven playing field, but they just wanted to push the diversity into those areas of educational admissions or whatever. And that's what happens in so many instances, so many cases. We hear about that all the time. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. Please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. And I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.